What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC 278. We have Kamaru Usman going against Leon Edwards 2.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another full card breakdown and prediction video this week, breaking down a very good pay-per-view card. We have the main event, Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards. We got the co-main event, Rockhold making his long-awaited return, going against Paulo Costa. Merab Dvalishvili going against Jose Aldo should be fun. And of course, it is officially Harry Hunsucker week. I'm looking forward to that fight as well. That fight kicks off the main card. Should be a fun card overall. Definitely looking forward to it. This card is going to close a 12-week stretch. It has been an absolute grind taping these fights week in and week out. It is a ton of work, but yeah, this is the 12th week of a 12-week stretch. I have went 7-4 in terms of winning and losing weeks. The goal is to finish this 12-week stretch going 8-4, getting a winning week this week, and then enjoying the week off and coming back and finishing this year strong. It's been a good year thus far and hoping to continue that. And it all starts here with UFC 278. I do have 2 bets and a lot more lined up. So definitely looking forward to that. Also, it is a pay-per-view. It is a great card. We are going to do the significant strike contest. As always, to enter the contest, first, leave a like on the video. Second, subscribe to the channel if you are not already. And then third, comment down how many significant strikes you think that Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards are going to combine for. First one that gets it gets $25 the first. If there is a tie, whoever did comment that first gets the tiebreaker there. Other than that, if you guys want some extra content, got a lot going on over at dfsbythenumbers.com behind the scenes, tons of articles, early access to bets, all the good stuff. So make sure you guys check that out if you have not already. And then also check out the live streams throughout the week. We have a live stream Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time after the weigh-ins, and then a live stream Saturday, best bet. Looking forward to that one as always. And yeah, other than that, follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. My DMs are always open and I'm always available to chat. So I say we get into it. And as always, we're going to start with the first fight of the night. And we have Victor Altamirano going against Daniel Da Silva, aka Daniel Lacerda. We have Altamirano, 31 years old, 5'8", with a 71 or 70.5-inch reach, 10-2, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Daniel Da Silva, he is 26 years old, 5'6", with a 70-inch reach, 11-3, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here, like we always do, and we see that Altamirano opened up as a -192 favorite. He is currently -192, no line movement there. And Da Silva opened up +167. He is currently still +167. So this is a tricky fight for me because we have 2 fights in the UFC for Daniel Da Silva, and I feel like I have learned absolutely nothing about the guy. He came in against Jeff Molina. He looked really good for the first 30 seconds. His kicks looked really sharp. He looked really powerful. And then he was even able to take the back of Jeff Molina. He had Jeff Molina in some danger early on. And then Jeff Molina was able to get out of those positions. It was able to land some ground and pound. Looks like he kind of broke Daniel Da Silva. And when that second round started, Da Silva looked tired, he looked done, and Jeff Molina knocked him out 30 seconds later. So, comes back in his next fight against Francisco Figueiredo, the bad Figgy, who we'll talk about later, and he gets submitted in the first round, in the first minute. So I've learned nothing about Da Silva, and there's like 2 or 3 other fights you can watch outside the UFC. He landed like a head kick knockout in the first 30 seconds of one, and then another fight, he got a submission off his back. There's just still a lot of question marks about Daniel Da Silva. He's training with Charles Oliveira in them, and I think he's a really skilled fighter, really dangerous anywhere the fight goes. He has a 100% finish rate. He's never seen the third round. It's just when the fight gets extended, that's where I have my concerns about Daniel Da Silva. If he does not get a finish early on, I have my concerns about Daniel Da Silva. So it's really hard to kind of trust him in this spot against Victor Altamirano, who I'm really not that impressed with. This guy has some of the worst takedown defense I've ever seen. I went through and watched like 5 or 6 fights, and I swear he got taken down like 50 times in those fights. Like, his takedown defense is just atrocious. He is a black belt in BJJ for what it's worth. He has been submitted a few times, but looks like he has hopefully improved that aspect of his game there. But on the feet, at least early on, it's going to be Da Silva who's landing the better shots, landing the much harder shots. Daniel Da Silva is the much more dangerous fighter as well. It's just as the fight goes on, what is Daniel Da Silva going to look like in that second round? in that third round if it comes. Like, he looked done, completely done in that Molina fight once it hit the second round, because he's not used to going into the deeper waters where Altamirano definitely is. So, tough fight to call. I could see De Silva winning the first round, but if De Silva does not finish Altamirano early, I think Altamirano does take over and eventually finishes Daniel De Silva in that second or third round and does it by submission there. So I'm going to take Altamirano to win. I'm going to say second round submission, but I do think Daniel De Silva is going to look very good very early. It's just I don't think he can keep up the pace as the fight goes on. So give me Altamirano to finish a gassed out Daniel De Silva. Moving on, we have Arichi Long going against Jay Perrin. We have Arichi Long, 29 years old, 5'7", with a 69.5-inch reach, 23-9, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Jay Perrin, 29 years old, 5'7", with a 69-inch reach, 10-5, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We will take a look at the odds, and we have Arichi Long opening up as a minus 300 favorite, currently minus 165. Jay Perrin opening up plus 250, currently plus 145. I cannot believe that opener, because I think it's going to be a very close fight. We have Arichi Long, who has a ton of experience. He has, 32 fights in his career. Not the best level of competition, but has had some success in the UFC. Had a competitive fight against Molina. He had a competitive fight against Cody Durden. And then he went out there and got a first-round finish in his last fight against Cameron Else. So I was actually really impressed with what I saw with Jay Perrin. Jay Perrin is a guy that he may not be the most talented fighter in the world, but he fights with a process. He fights with a game plan, and he implements that game plan, and he's really good at doing so. He's a guy that is going to go for takedowns, and he may not get the first one, he may not get the second one, but he's going to keep grinding, keep trying to get those takedowns, and eventually he does get them. His cardio is on point. I've seen him get extended into fights and look fresh. And like I said, he's going to go for takedowns nonstop, and I think that could give Arichi Long some problems here. Arichi Long did lose against Cody Durden. I do think Cody Durden is a better wrestler than Jay Perrin, but that fight was at 125 pounds. This is a fight that's going to be at 135, and Arichi Long is huge for 125 pounds. I'm not sure how he made 125 pounds, and he's even big for bantamweight as well. But I do think Perrin could have some success pushing Arichi Long against the cage and taking him down. And I like the fact that, unlike Cody Durden, Jay Perrin can go a full 3 rounds wrestling very hard. So I think this could be a very interesting fight. Of course, on the feet, you gotta favor Arichi Long. This guy hits like a truck. They call him the Mongolian murderer for a reason. He's down to get into a brawl. He's down to get into a war. And on the feet, he's going to be landing the much harder strikes. He is very hittable, though, but I think Jay Perrin has a clear path to victory in terms of taking down Arichi Long, wearing on him, and winning minutes on top. So I'm actually going to side with the dog here in Jay Perrin. I do trust him to come out here and fight with a smart game plan, and that game plan is going to be going for takedowns, getting those takedowns, and winning minutes on the mat across 3 rounds. So give me Jay Perrin for the win. Give me Jay Perrin to win by decision. All right, next we have Amir Al-bazi going against Francisco Figueiredo. We have Al-bazi, 28 years old, 5'5", with a 68-inch reach, 14-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Francisco Figueiredo, 32 years old, 5'6", with a 69-inch reach, 13-4-1 and 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Al-bazi is a big favorite, opening up minus 300, currently minus 400. Francisco Figueiredo opening up plus 250, and he is currently plus 330 there. Plus 330 there for Francisco Figueiredo. Of course, we know Francisco Figueiredo is Davison Figueiredo's brother, and that we call him the Bad Figgy, I suppose. And that's because, man, I don't know. Francisco Figueiredo, the volume is not there. Some of the worst volume we'll ever see out of Francisco Figueiredo. I think he's landing like 1.92 significant strikes per minute, not even 2 strikes per minute. And the problem is, he has 0 knockdowns thus far in the UFC, and that's concerning considering he's fighting guys like Malcolm Gordon, who is probably one of the chinniest guys in the division, guys like Jerome Rivera, who is not in the UFC anymore. Like, I feel like he should have been starching these guys, right? But no, he lost the decision to Malcolm Gordon as a big favorite in that fight. Malcolm Gordon pulled off the upset. And then he lost the 3rd round on all 3 judges' scorecards against Jerome Rivera. And that's kind of another problem with Francisco Figueiredo is the cardio. He does slow down as the fight goes on. So, on the feet, he throws no volume. He doesn't have the power of his brother, not even anywhere close to it. and then as the fight goes on, he slows down. He doesn't do anything. I will say his wrestling's solid. His takedown defense is solid. He's strong. His grappling seems to be decent, but still getting taken down and controlled by Malcolm Gordon is not a good look at all. What did Amir Al-bazi do to Malcolm Gordon? Well, he submitted him in the first round, which actually really surprised me because, Malcolm Gordon, black belt in BJJ, how do you beat Malcolm Gordon? You knock him out. Al-bazi went in there and submitted him in the very first round. I think there's a lot of hype on Al-bazi, and rightfully so. I think this guy's very good. He's a finisher. He's well-rounded. He's good everywhere. And in this matchup, I think he's going to have the advantage literally everywhere. On the feet, it's going to be Al-bazi. He's higher volume. He has more power. He has the better cardio by a mile. He's a really good wrestler. He's a really good grappler. I think he has Figueiredo covered pretty much everywhere in this fight. So if you're losing a third round to guys like Malcolm Gordon and Jerome Rivera, what is Amir Al-bazi going to do, right? So I like Al-bazi here to win. I like Al-bazi to win by either like a third round late finish or a decision. I'll say decision. Francisco Figueiredo does seem like a tough guy. I do think his submission defense is going to be on point, but I could see a situation where Al-bazi kind of drowns him and finishes him late, but I'll say decision. I'll say Figgy hangs in there. Give me Amir Al-bazi to win this one by decision here. All right, next we have AJ Fletcher going against Loosa. We have Fletcher, 25 years old, 5'10", with a 67-inch reach, 9-1, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Loosa, he is 28 years old, 5'10", with a 74-inch reach, 8-3, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. We have AJ Fletcher opening up -190, currently -155. Loosa opening up +165. He's currently +135. Loosa on the feet is going to have a 7-inch reach advantage, which I think is key here in this matchup. And when I went and watched Loosa, what I was looking for, especially for this matchup, is how good is his takedown defense? Well, his takedown defense held up good against guys like Munir Lazez. It held up good on the Contender Series against a guy like Jack Della Maddalena. And then you go out and watch his fights outside the UFC, and his takedown defense is holding up. It's very good. I've never seen him get taken down. If he gets taken down, he is able to get up right away, but never officially seen him taken down, laying on the mat. He's able to, keep the fight upright. He's very, very strong as well. If AJ Fletcher can't take down Loosa and hold him down, which I think it's going to be very hard to take him down and hold him down here, and if this fight plays out on the feet, I think it's going to be a super, super close fight. Loosa, I got to give him the striking advantage here, although I think AJ Fletcher is a good striker, very dynamic on the feet with a ton of power. Loosa is going to have a 7-inch reach advantage. He is a really good striker. He had his moments against guys like Jack Della Maddalena, definitely had his moments in that fight, although he got beat by a very good fighter in Jack Della Maddalena. And then he had his moments against Munir Lazez on super short notice as well. And on top of that, we have seen AJ Fletcher slow down as the fight goes on. He's somebody that typically doesn't get into those later rounds. We saw him get in those later rounds against Matt Semmelsberger. Slowed down a little bit, but still was able to kind of work through it there. I think we've got a really close fight on our hands here. I'm going to trust the takedown defense of Loosa here. I'm going to say he does stuff the takedowns, keeps it on the feet, and I think he is able to get the better of the striking exchanges here with that 7-inch reach advantage. So I like Loosa here as a dog. I like him to win by decision. Both guys are super tough. Both guys I don't believe have ever been knocked out, and I think that continues here. I like Loosa to win a very close and competitive decision. I think AJ Fletcher will absolutely have his moments. I think he will absolutely land some big shots. But Loosa has a chin on him. I mean, the shots he took against Jack Della Maddalena were insane. I can't believe he didn't go down, and I think his chin holds up here, and I think he kind of wins a decision here. Kind of close one, though, but give me Loosa to win and win by decision. All right, next we got Miranda Maverick going against Shanna Young, the Shanimal. We have Miranda Maverick, 25 years old, 5'3", with a 65.5-inch reach, 10-4, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Shanna Young, 31 years old, 5'7", with a 65-inch reach, 8-4, and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and we have Maverick as the second biggest favorite on the entire card, opening up -350, currently -500. We have Shanna Young opening up +285, currently +385. Wide odds, but I definitely agree with the odds here. So this is actually a rematch, and when I saw this fight was announced, I was kind of surprised. Yeah, Miranda Maverick going from, fighters like Sabina Mazo, Erin Blanchfield, Macy Barber, and, kind of taking a step down here against Shanna Young in a fight that she already won and she already won convincingly. I mean, there wasn't any debate about it. Miranda Maverick took down Shanna Young, and she took her back, and she submitted her shortly after, and I kind of see the same thing here. Shanna Young, her takedown defense is solid, but her grappling leaves a lot to be desired, and I think Maverick is going to have a significant grappling advantage here. When Shanna Young is taken down, she gives up her back a lot. She's been submitted a good amount. She got submitted by Maverick, of course. She got submitted by Sarah Alpar on the Contender Series, which was not a good look. And I think Maverick submits her here. Maverick, I believe she's a brown belt in BJJ. Very, very good grappler. Her striking's coming along. Tons of improvements in her striking. And, I think Maverick's going to come out here, take down Shanna Young, and choke her out probably in the first round. So, I like Maverick here quite a bit. I just don't think Shanna Young's grappling is good enough to hang with a fighter like Miranda Maverick. Like I said, her takedown defense is good, but Maverick's going to be relentless. She's going to get this fight down to the mat eventually, and when she does, I do think the fight's going to be over shortly after. So give me Maverick to win by first round submission. Okay, next we have Sean Woodson going against Luis Saldana. We have Sean Woodson, 30 years old, 6'2", with a 79-inch reach, 9-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Luis Saldana, 31 years old, 5'11", with a 73-inch reach, 16-7 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So we have Sean Woodson opening up -300, currently -340. And we have Luis Saldana opening up +250, currently +280. Sean Woodson looked phenomenal in his last fight, went out there and got a first-round finish against Colin England, mixed it up very good to the body, and he hurt England to the body a lot, and I feel like it would be wise to go to the body here against a guy like Luis Saldana. Saldana, he's training at a good gym. I believe he's training at Fight Ready. You know, he trained at MMA Lab in the past, but I believe he's at Fight Ready now. But the problem with Saldana is I think he's extremely skilled. I think he has a ton of tools on the feet. It's just the problem with Saldana is his gas tank is horrendous. Horrendous gas tank. He gassed out bad against Jordan Griffin, was able to win that fight. I thought Jordan Griffin won that fight. He gassed out against Austin Lingo, and then he gassed out against Bruno Souza in the second round, looked bad in the third, and he's going out there, like in the Lingo fight, he was putting his hands on his hips, like looking tired in the third round. You can't be doing that in the UFC. I mean, that is such a bad look. And then in the Souza fight, he actually put his hands on his knees and was so tired, and just a terrible look for Saldana. He's 31 years old. If he has not improved his gas tank here, I think Woodson finishes him. Saldana probably has some success early on. Like I said, he's a really good striker. Tons of tools on the feet. He has power. He has finishing ability. It's just, as the fight goes on, he falls off a cliff in that second round. He's getting tired. He's getting tired in like the late first round. He's looking tired. The second round, he's looking very tired. And then the third round, he just doesn't have much left. And you can get away with that against a guy like Bruno Souza, who doesn't finish anybody. You can get away with that, against a guy in Austin Lingo who's probably not UFC caliber. You can get away with that in a guy like Jordan Griffin. But I don't think you're going to get away with gassing out that bad against a guy like Sean Woodson. I think Woodson puts it on him. I think Woodson mixes it up to the body. I think Woodson gets Saldana out of there in that second or third round. So I like Woodson here. I like the reach advantage. I think he's going to have the cardio advantage by a mile. And I think he puts Saldana out here in that second or third round. So late finish here for Woodson. Woodson by knockout. Oh boy. Here we go. We have Yanan Wu going against Lucie Pudilova. We have Pudilova, 28 years old, 5'8", with a 67-inch reach, 13-7 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Yanan Wu, 26 years old, 5'8", with a 66-inch reach, 11-5 and 1-4 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and we have Pudilova opening up -210 for some reason, currently -130, and Yanan Wu opening up +180 and currently +110. So as we know, or as you may know or may not know, Lucie Pudilova was in the UFC before, and what'd she go? I think 2 and 5 in the UFC. Losses to Irene Aldana, Lena Landsberg, Antonina Shevchenko, Justine Kish, and wins over Ji-Young Kim and Sarah Moore-Ass. And then they brought her back. I think she went 4-1 outside the UFC. They're bringing her back here. Why? I'm not sure, but they're bringing her back here against Yanan Wu, who is on a 3-fight losing streak. Those losses coming to Mara Bueno Silva, Jocelyn Edwards, and Mizuki Inoue. So, yeah, I feel like this fight is going to be extremely close here. Lucie Pudilova, I went back and watched her her fights outside the UFC to see if there's been, any improvements, and there has. I think she's a pretty solid striker. I think her striking is definitely the best part of her game there, but, I did see some fights where she was taken down easily, and when she was taken down, she really didn't have an answer to getting back up, and honestly, I feel like that could be a very sneaky path to victory here for Yanan Wu. On the feet, I think it's going to be extremely close and competitive. I do slightly favor Lucie Pudilova on the feet there, but it's going to be close. Yanan Wu does throw with a ton of volume, landing 4.42 significant strikes per minute. So I think on the feet it's competitive, right? But I think Yanan Wu, if she's smart here, she hasn't done it a ton, but she did get a takedown against Mara Bueno Silva, which she's able to control Silva for a good couple minutes there. She was able to get a takedown against Jocelyn Edwards. She was able to get a takedown against Gina Mazzani. She's gotten 3 takedowns in the UFC. She's gotten 2 takedowns in her last 2 fights. Why can't Yanan Wu come out here and take down Lucie Pudilova and win minutes in a very close fight? I feel like I said, on the feet, it's going to be super close. Why not mix in a takedown here to seal off and win a round? I feel like that is definitely on the table here for Yanan Wu. So we'll see what happens. This fight's super close. I'm gonna pick Yanan Wu, the dog, here to win this one. You won't catch me betting on this one, but I'll say she goes in here on the feet. It's close. She mixes in a takedown. I'm not expecting to go out there and shoot 20 takedowns, but just get one. One could be enough here. I think 1 takedown that could seal off a round. That could win some minutes there. So Yanan Wu by decision. This is an actual fight. It's not a joke, and this is an actual fight on a pay-per-view card. Can't believe it, but it is what it is. Give me Yanan Wu for the win, and I think she snaps that 3-fight losing streak there. All right. Man, next we have Jared Gordon going against Leonardo Santos. We have Jared Gordon, 33 years old, 5'9", with a 68-inch reach, 18-5 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Leonardo Santos, 42 years old, 6 foot, with a 75-inch reach, 18-5 and 1 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Jared Gordon, big favorite, opening at -225, currently -265. Leonardo Santos opening up +190, currently +225. And I guess the big elephant in the room is Leonardo Santos is 42 years old at lightweight. 42 and a half years old. He turns 43, I think, in February. He's a very talented fighter. He has a ton of skills, and I think he's the more skilled fighter in this matchup. He's going to be the better striker. He's going to be the better grappler. He's going to be bigger. He's going to have a 7-inch reach advantage. He's going to have a 3-inch height advantage. I think he's better everywhere. But the big, giant hole in the game of Leonardo Santos is the cardio. The cardio. Especially now late in his career, the cardio is just not good. We saw him gas out bad in the Clay Guida fight. And I thought that fight should have been finished not once, not twice, but even 3 instances where that fight very well could have been finished. But, we gassed out regardless, and he was extremely tired halfway into that first round. But to be fair, he did land a 50-punch combination, elbows, knees mixed in against Clay Guida. I think it was 50 unanswered shots. So, to be fair, that happened, but still, he gassed out. He gassed out in the Dawson fight late in that 3rd round. He gassed out in the Roman Bogatov fight after he almost finished Bogatov. He gassed out in that fight. And then prior to that, knocking out Stevie Ray back in 2019. And he had that 3-year layoff in between. And he's a guy that's been dealing with some injuries, but yeah, it's just hard to pick a guy like Santos who is first, he's so talented, but he has about 5 minutes at this point. And like I was saying last night on Stat Diggers, I would not be shocked if this was the last fight Santos ever fights here. I think he might. I think this might be his last one. I mean, 42 and a half years old. He was talking about retiring a couple years ago. Decided not to. He said he was thinking about retiring. His coaches said that he should keep going, and getting submitted by Clay Guida is not the best look. And I think he could potentially go out here and finish Jared Gordon in the first round, but I give him about a round to do it. Jared Gordon's going to have the clear cardio advantage by a mile. And if this fight does get in that second round, Jared Gordon's going to clearly take over and win the fight. So, I don't know. Jared Gordon's been finished a ton. He got finished by Grant Dawson by submission. He got knocked out by Charles Oliveira, knocked out by Joaquim Silva, knocked out by Diego Ferreira. I believe he got knocked out before that as well outside the UFC. So the chin's not good. So Santos is going to have his moments. It's just outside of an early first-round knockout, it's hard to pick Santos in any fight. 43-year-old fighter at lightweight, bad gas tank. I can't do it. But maybe take a look at the Leonardo Santos first round prop. I think that could be in play. Maybe Jared Gordon from a live betting perspective could be in play. But I am going to pick Jared Gordon to survive that first round and take over as the fight goes on. And I'll say win a decision, maybe get a late finish, but I'll say win a decision for Jared Gordon, winning those second 2 rounds there. But the first round is definitely going to be a sweat. And I do think this line is pretty wide here. All right. Next, we have the main card for UFC 278, and we kick it off with an absolute banger. We have the return of Harry Hunsucker coming down to light heavyweight. He said it was too easy at heavyweight. He wanted to come down to light heavyweight, get some better competition here, and he is going to be going up against Tyson Pedro. We have Tyson Pedro, 30 years old, 6'3", with a 79-inch reach. He has 8-3 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Harry Hunsucker, 33 years old, 6'2", with a 75-inch reach, 7-5 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We have Pedro as the biggest favorite on the card, opening at minus 750, currently minus 800. Hunsucker opening up plus 550, currently plus 500. I do expect those odds to keep getting wider. I'm a big Harry Hunsucker fan, big fan of the guy. He is 7-5, 12 fights in his career, and all 12 of those fights do finish in the first round, and 10 of those 12 fights finish under one half of a round. This is a guy that gets in and gets out, whether he's winning or whether he's losing. You take a look earlier in his career, he has losses where he's actually tapping to strikes. He has 2 losses where he did tap to strikes. One was against Dontel Mays. Losing to Dontel Mays is not a good look. Getting finished against Dontel Mays is not a good look. Tapping to strikes against Dontel Mays is definitely not a good look. He did gas out bad in the first round, especially early in his career. Maybe it's a little bit better now, but he would gas out after a minute, 30 seconds. He's tired. But coming down to light heavyweight, maybe his cardio's improved. I will say Harry Hunsucker does look to be in very good shape, but to be honest, although I am a fan of one Harry Hunsucker, I just don't think the skills are all that there. And I think Tyson Pedro has him covered everywhere and by a wide margin here, and that's why you see the wide line. Tyson Pedro could go out here and knock out Harry Hunsucker if he'd like to. Hunsucker, his path to victory is going to go out there and potentially land a big shot against Tyson Pedro, which it could happen. Hunsucker does throw really wild. He has a lot of power. But, Pedro should be the better striker here by a good margin there. And then if Pedro wants to make this as easy as possible, take the fight down to the mat and finish it. We saw Jared Vandera, who takes down nobody, take down Harry Hunsucker with no resistance and finished him 30 seconds later with ground and pound. Tyson Pedro on the mat's very good. He has a great ground and pound. He has a sneaky submission game as well. If Tyson Pedro wants to make this look easy, take it down to the mat, finish the fight, go home in that first round. So I think Tyson Pedro has him covered everywhere. I would like to see Tyson Pedro take down Hunsucker. Pedro has not went for a takedown in a while, though. I believe his debut, he went for a takedown, had some success, got a finish. I feel like take this guy down, and finish the fight. So yeah, I like Pedro here to win. Pedro to win by first round finish. I'll say first round ground and pound victory for Tyson Pedro here. All right, next we have Marcin Tybura going against Alexandr Romanov. We have Romanov, 31 years old, 6'2" with a 75-inch reach. He is 16-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Marcin Tybura, 36 years old, 6'3" with a 78-inch reach, 22-7 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Romanov, big favorite, opening up minus 240, currently minus 385. Tybura opening up plus 205, currently plus 320. And yeah, I think these odds are pretty wide, and there's a lot of hype on Romanov, and rightfully so. The guy's a beast, King Kong. But this is an interesting matchup. He really struggled against Juan Espino. Juan Espino's a guy that, he was 40, 41 years old, but Juan Espino, very good wrestling background, very good grappler in Juan Espino as well, and he kind of struggled with Espino there. And that was the fight where Espino did land a shot to the nuts of Romanov, and in that third round, and Romanov kind of quit in there. At least that's what it looked like to me. I mean, he was super tired in that second round, in that third round especially. He got kicked, and he laid down, and he never got up. And maybe he really was hurt, but I don't know. It just was not the best look. And to be honest, I didn't even think Romanov won that fight. So it went to decision because the fight was in that third round there, right? And then they were judging the early third round, and then, of course, the first two rounds. And I thought that, Romanov clearly was losing that third round. Clearly. I didn't even think it was close. So I guess the judges gave the first two rounds to Alexandr Romanov, which I guess you could. I scored the second round for Romanov. I did score the first round for Juan Espino, but it was close, I guess you could say. But yeah, I did think that, Romanov lost that fight. But regardless, he's going to go against Marcin Tybura, who is, a pretty good grappler, black belt in BJJ. He's fought some good grapplers like Fabricio Werdum. Back in the day, he went all 5 rounds with him. Lost a decision there. He did beat Luis Henrique, who was a brown belt at the time when they fought. That was back in 2017. He knocked him out in the third round after he gassed out. So, he's fought some good grapplers here. He beat Sergey Spivak. Spivak was able to not get him down once, whereas Tybura was actually able to take down Spivak twice. So I think this is a pretty tough matchup for Romanov, and one of the toughest matchups he's going to be having thus far in his career outside of the Juan Espino fight. This is not Chase Sherman. This is not Jared Vandera. This is not Marcos Rogério de Lima. This is not Roy Martinez. This is Marcin Tybura, who's fought the who's who and who has an 82% takedown defense at BJJ black belt and is going to have the cardio advantage. Romanov came in his last fight against Chase Sherman with a completely different physique. He looked to be in incredible shape against Chase Sherman. Incredible shape. Much, much better shape than he was in the Juan Espino fight. And if that's going to improve his cardio, you got to think it does. Like, I think Romanov can be extremely dangerous because the one concern I have is what happens if the fight does get extended. Against Juan Espino, it got to the third round. He was completely done. He looks to be taking his conditioning extremely serious, and I like that. Because he's going to need it here against Marcin Tybura. This is a tough fight to call for me. I think I'm going to take Romanov to get it done here. The dude's a beast, man. He's an absolute beast. I've seen him pick guys up, walk them to the other side of the cage, slam them down. And Tybura, although he's fought some good grapplers, he has not fought anybody like Romanov, He fought Spivak, he fought Werdum, and even in that Werdum fight, Werdum wasn't able to take him down, and Werdum's a phenomenal grappler. But I do think Romanov is the probably the best wrestler he's fought thus far in his career. Just looking through, I think Romanov's going to be the toughest wrestler that Marcin Tybura has fought. I think Romanov should be able to get the fight down to the mat, and I think Tybura will be able to survive. But I do think Romanov's going to get off some good ground and pound. He does the whole, King Kong hammer fist thing, and you never know, maybe one of those hurts Tybura. Tybura has been knocked out a good amount of times, so I think he's been knocked out 3 or 4 times in his career, and maybe gets knocked out here. As far as a method for Romanov, I think I'm going to take Romanov to win by decision. I'm going to say he wins those first 2 rounds. I think he's going to be able to get those takedowns. It's just the third round is kind of what concerns me. But like I said, he came into the Sherman fight. He looked to be in incredible shape, the best shape of his career. And if he shows up there like that again, and if he's ready to go, if he can go 3 rounds, I think it's a winnable fight for him. So I'll take Alexandr Romanov. I think his cardio does hold up, and I do think he wins a decision. But I think Tybura is going to have some success late if Romanov does slow down. But yeah, give me Romanov to win actually by decision. All right, next we have, this is probably the people's main event. Probably going to be one of the most, if not the most talked about fight on the entire card. We have Merab Dvalishvili going against Jose Aldo. We have Dvalishvili, 31 years old, 5'6" with a 68-inch reach, 14-4, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Jose Aldo, 35 years old, 5'7", with a 70-inch reach, 37-7, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. We have Merab Dvalishvili opening up plus 145, currently minus 135. Jose Aldo opening up minus 170, currently plus 115. This is the most intriguing matchup on the entire card for me. It is intriguing because we have a guy in Merab Dvalishvili who, what does he do? He wrestles non-stop, has a relentless pace, some of the best cardio in the division. He breaks you with his cardio, his pressure, his pace, and he uses his cardio as a weapon. The wrestling is on point, and he's able to wrestle for 3 rounds. And then on the flip side, you have Jose Aldo, a guy that has not only some of the best takedown defense in the division, but some of the best takedown defense in the entire UFC history. This guy, Jose Aldo, has a 90% takedown defense. 90%. And I forget the amount of takedowns attempted against. It's like 80 to 90 takedowns attempted against him. Like he has defended a ton of takedowns in his career. It's not like he's defended a couple. It's not like that 90% is defending like 9 out of 10 takedowns. No, he's defended a ton of takedowns throughout his career, and he has fought the who's who. He's fought guys like Petr Yan. He's fought guys like Volkanovski, Max Holloway twice. He's fought Frank Yeager, Conor McGregor, Chad Mendez, the Korean Zombie. He has fought the who's who. Uriah Faber back in the day, Cub Swanson, guys like that. He's fought everybody. Jose Aldo has fought everybody, and he has that 90% takedown defense. So it's just an interesting fight because we have a guy in Merab Dvalishvili who is going to be going for takedowns in this fight. Jose Aldo is clearly the better striker. And Jose Aldo, is, like his last couple of fights, he's been looking good. Looked pretty good against Marlon Vera. Looked really good against Pedro Munoz. Looked really good against Rob Font. He's 35 years old, but he's looking good as of late. On the feet, I favor Jose Aldo. It's just, is Merab Dvalishvili going to be able to take down Jose Aldo and hold him down? And I don't think so. I really don't. I think taking Jose Aldo down is going to be a huge test for Merab Dvalishvili, and holding him down is going to be even harder. And how are you supposed to judge fights? How are judges supposed to judge fights? They're supposed to judge based off of damage. And Merab's going to be going for takedowns. He's going to be holding Aldo against the cage. I don't think he's going to have a ton of success. And when it's on the feet, it's going to be Jose Aldo all day. So I like the dog here in Jose Aldo. I like him to stuff takedowns. I know it's not going to be a very popular pick. I know Merab's a very popular pick and bet this week, but that 90% takedown defense is no joke. It is absolutely no joke. So yeah, I like Jose Aldo here. You take a look at Merab Dvalishvili, and this is going to definitely be a step up. He lost to Ricky Simone in that weird, it was like a technical submission knockout thing where, Ricky Simone had him in a guillotine at the end of the fight, and he lost to Ricky Simone, but he was on his way to winning that fight. He lost to Frankie Saenz after taking Frankie Saenz down 11 times, and goes back to the whole damage thing, right? Like Frankie Saenz did get off a lot of damage, and I thought Merab won that fight, but still. And then since then, he's beating Brad Katona, who, Terrion Ware, Casey Kenny, Gustavo Lopez, Cody Stamen, Marlon Moraes. John Dodson was a good win, but this is going to be a big step up, a big step up in competition for Merab Dvalishvili here. You're going from Marlon Moraes, who I believe is either cut or retired. I don't think he's fighting in the UFC anymore. Moraes is on a 4-fight skid. Yeah. And then going from that to Jose Aldo, the GOAT. So I don't know. I like Jose Aldo here to win. I like him to stuff the takedowns and land more on the feet, land more damage, and win a decision. So I like Jose Aldo to win. I like Jose Aldo to win by decision. All right. Next, we have the co-main event, a very fun one here. We have Paulo Costa going against Luke Rockhold. The return of Luke Rockhold here. We have Paulo Costa, 31 years old, 6'1", with a 72-inch reach, 13-2, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Luke Rockhold, 37 years old, 6'3", with a 77-inch reach, 16-5, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We have the odds here. Costa opening up minus 260, went down to minus 300, currently back to minus 255. Luke Rockhold opening up plus 220, currently plus 215. I'm surprised it's not a little wider here. I think people are maybe buying into the whole Rockhold narrative. He's ready to go. He's saying he's going to become champion, and I don't know. I don't know about that. Luke Rockhold has not fought in 3 years and 1 month. 3 years and 1 month since we have last seen Luke Rockhold. He has not won a fight in 4 years and 10 months, and that came against David Branch. And when we saw him last fight against Jan Blachowicz, yes, it was at light heavyweight, but he looked horrible. He looked washed. He He looked slow. He looked bad. He went in there with a crap game plan, trying to take down Jan Blachowicz for the entire first round, having no success, and got knocked out in the second. He just looked off. He looked bad, and now he's taken 3 years off. He's coming back at now 37 years old, almost 38. The chin's completely gone. He's been knocked out 5 times. He's got knocked out in back-to-back losses, and they're putting him up against Paulo Costa, who's 31 years old. He's the more active fighter. He hits like a truck. He's tough. He's durable. He has solid cardio. This seems like a tough matchup for Luke Rockhold to take coming back off a 3-year layoff. So, Luke Rockhold, the guy has had a ton of success throughout his career. And you can go back and watch his fights, and he's had some really good wins, really great performances. The guy back in the day was phenomenal. Wins over Chris Weidman, wins over Machida, Michael Bisping in their first fight, right? But he's 38 years old, right? He's taken a big, giant layoff. The chin is gone. He looked like crap his last time out against Blachowicz. Man, I think it's Paulo Costa here. I think Costa knocks him out. I think Costa knocks him out in the first or second round. How does Luke Rockhold win this fight? I don't know. I mean, in his last fight against Blachowicz, he was trying to take Blachowicz down, which didn't really get that game plan. Is he going to try to take down Paulo Costa in this fight? Like, that's not going to work. Costa has a very good takedown defense. Is he going to strike with Costa? I think so. And if that happens, at some point, Costa's going to come forward and he's going to touch his chin and put him out. So, yeah, I like Costa here. I like Costa to win by knockout. I'll say second round knockout for Paulo Costa. Costa seems to be in phenomenal shape. He seems to be taking the fight serious this time. And there was that whole situation in his last fight against Marvin Vettori where he didn't want to cut down to middleweight. Ended up being at light heavyweight, right? But he looks to be in good shape now. And man, that loss in Marvin Vettori actually really impressed me. And he went 5 rounds. His cardio looked kind of iffy early on, but he actually won that 5th round. And his cardio kind of got better as the fight went on. So his cardio checks out. And man, he landed some big shots against Marvin Vettori that only Marvin Vettori can take. Luke Rockhold has not taken those same shots. He landed that big head kick. Luke Rockhold is not eating that one. So yeah, give me Costa to win. Costa to win by knockout, second round. All right, main event. We have Kamaru Usman to win, or to win potentially, to fight Leon Edwards here. We have Kamaru Usman. We have him at 35 years old. He is 6 foot with a 76-inch reach, 20-1, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Leon Edwards, 30 years old, 6'2" with a 74-inch reach, 19-3, and 4-0 and 1 no contest in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. Kamaru Usman opening up minus 300, currently minus 380. Leon Edwards opening up plus 250. He is currently plus 315. And yeah, this is their second fight. They had their first fight. It was back in the day. It was I think it was Kamaru Usman's second fight in his entire in his UFC career, and I think it was Leon Edwards maybe third fight, fourth fight, and that was back in 2015. So a long time ago. But I kind of see the fight playing out the same way. At range, you could clearly see that Edwards was the better striker, and I think that's still the case to this day. But my goodness, we can't ignore the improvements that Kamaru Usman's making on the feet. The jab is incredible, and Kamaru Usman is now landing with power. Prior to just a couple fights ago, he wasn't really knocking out anybody. I think he had one knockout. One knockout in his first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fights. Only one knockout. And now he's knocking out Colby Covington. He's knocking out Gilbert Burns. He's knocking out Jorge Masvidal. The dude has 7 knockdowns in his last 5 fights. Kamaru Usman has power now, apparently, and that's extremely dangerous. So on the feet, you got to favor Leon Edwards, especially in the big cage, but I don't think Kamaru Usman's going to be, completely, behind in the striking by any means, especially with the power, the jab, the improvements. But, Kamaru Usman is a smart fighter, right? And in his last fight against Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman did attempt only 1 takedown. He got that takedown. Against Colby Covington in their first fight, Kamaru Usman attempted no takedowns. This is a fight where I expect there to be a lot of takedowns attempted from Kamaru Usman. Kind of like in their first fight, I think Usman's going to push Leon Edwards against the cage. I think he's going to take him down, and I think he's going to be relentless with that game plan for 25 minutes. Like I said, on the feet, I think it's going to be competitive. I slightly favor Edwards, but Usman is a smart fighter. He's the champion for a reason. He has not lost a fight in what? It's been a long time since he's lost a fight. He lost by submission way back in the day. He's on a 16 fight win streak, something crazy like that. Undefeated in the UFC, and he's a winner. He's a winner. He knows how to win. He's not an idiot. He fights smart. He fights with a good game plan. He's not going to go out there and strike with Leon Edwards for 25 minutes. If he did that, this is going to look super close, and he might even lose, but he's not going to do that. He's going to push Edwards against the cage. He's going to take him down. He's going to grind on him. He's going to do that for 25 minutes. He's going to win minutes against the cage on the mat. I really like Kamaru Usman here. I know a lot of people are big fans of Leon Edwards. He actually has a really big fan base, Leon Edwards does. And I know a lot of people don't like Kamaru Usman. They call him Snoosman and Juiceman, names like that. But we got to respect this guy's skills, man. I mean, you don't go in here and you're not 20-1 for no reason. There's a really good reason. The skills are there for Kamaru Usman, and now the striking is improving. Now the power is translating. Kamaru Usman is a very, very, very dangerous fighter and a very tough fighter to beat. So I do like Kamaru Usman here. I do like him to win by decision. I don't think he finishes Leon Edwards, but, I don't know. Kamaru Usman has been hitting like a truck lately, so you never know. But I think decision is the more likely path there for Kamaru Usman there. All right, guys, we did it. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to comment your significant strikes you think that Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards are going to combine for. Also, be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Other than that, I'm going to be taking a week off next week. I'm going on my honeymoon, which is going to be awesome. It's going to feel good to get a week off after 12 straight weeks. It's been a freaking grind. But yeah, I've had a lot of success this year throughout this 12-week stretch. And the goal is to end this 12-week stretch with a winning night, have 2 bets already, and looking at a couple more. So check out dfsbythenumbers.com. Lots of content coming out. It's going to be coming out early this week. I'm trying to get ahead, trying to get done with everything to kind of seal off this 12-week stretch there. So that's been it, guys. Best of luck. UFC 278 should be a fun card. Let us make some money and enjoy it, guys.